All right, let's face it. In high school, we all had that one English teacher. Well, that English teacher is me. I'm Brian Kulak, a career educator and author of The Hot Seat. Every week, I reconnect with former students, colleagues, and fascinating people to explore who they were, who they are now, and the wisdom they've gained along the way. Welcome to The Hot Seat. Hey, what is up, everybody? Here it is, episode 10. We made it to double digits. That's a big deal in some circles, I guess, at least for me. So I'm super excited for tonight's episode, like I always am. I remember my esteemed student teacher, Kerri McIntyre, at the time. She is now fully grown up. She is Mrs. Skipper. She's on the call. Hello, Mrs. Skipper. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I am so happy you're here for so many reasons. Number one, I'm just so glad that you're still teaching. I think kids need people like you, now that I'm not in the teaching game per se anymore, especially at the high school and middle school level. I think it's so important that you're doing what you're doing. I was watching your poll responses before the show. I mean, I'm going to steal that idea for sure, but the kids just are loving reconnecting with you, and I love that you're posting pictures of you with your kids and where they are now. And then the words of affirmation for them must be so powerful for them. So wanted to start with that, and just how fortunate I feel that we're still friends after all this time, right? So we met in 2010. That's a lifetime ago for both of us for so many reasons, but here we are, still friends. You were gracious enough to come to my first book signing. I'll never forget when you walked in. I was just so happy to see you. And then I think what probably most people don't know is our paths keep colliding, right? So 2010, you walked in as a wide-eyed 21-year-old student teacher. And then when did you get to Collingswood? I forget what year it was.
2011. Yeah.
Okay.
So the next school year.
The next school year, right. So then you walked into Collingswood English department. And again, I was just so excited that I got to see you again and be around you again and see your evolution. And then last night you sent me a picture of your version of the hot seat from a student, which was a bunch of skateboards, right? Sort of glued or something together.
Yeah. So somewhere along the way, they had a pretty cool like industrial arts class at Collingswood. And, one of the least suspecting students one day brought up a seat crafted out of skateboards for us to use. So,
yeah, I remember when that got there.
Yeah.
So, we start each episode the same way, so not going to change now. Let's start with, who you were, because we don't know. I don't know who you were in high school, and then into your time at Audubon, and then who you are now.
Yeah, so I've been reflecting a lot this past week. So, I mean, it's crazy to think about yourself, high school, college, and, being an adult now. But I grew up in Gloucester City, so I immediately felt a connection to Audubon, this small town. A lot of people, your question about, are you going to come back? Are you going to stay there?
Right.
Connected to Gloucester is very much that way. Most of my family still lives there, and now I work there. I grew up in a small town, played sports, be a good student. I had no idea what I wanted to be or what I was going to do for college.
Right.
Also, going to Rowan, like you.
Yep.
I went in undecided. I didn't know. I knew that I loved books. I loved stories. I loved human connection. I liked psychology.
Yeah. Same for me. Yeah.
I just listened the other day, the podcast with the Rowan podcast.
Yeah.
And I relate to it so much. I knew what I liked, what I was good at. I didn't know what it fit. And then I found myself really liking the education classes. The idea of coaching and teaching appealed to me. So I went that secondary route. So English and secondary education, and I loved my English classes, the analyzing, the talking, the discussing, which is so much what the hot seat is.
Right.
What I love so much about being in your room, I was like, I can just talk about real things and discuss and connect. So that's always been the appeal to me for teaching, and what I go back to, when things get hard in the classroom. Yeah, I was scared to death, similar to you, teaching seniors at 22 years old.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I remember when you walked in, and I knew that we had that connection, I guess, because I had coached against Pat, right? He was a Gloucester Catholic at the time. So I knew of you. I knew your family. I think a lot of Gloucester families kind of follow the same trajectory, right? Like a name starts to grow. There's a positive connection with, oh, that's she's a McIntyre. There's so many families like that over there. And I think a lot of that has to do with sports and the lifelong journey of sports in Gloucester and Audubon. But from there, Kara, I got to tell you, like, Abby was just born in 2009, so I was probably delirious just from that experience. So I'm really curious about your, because I don't think we've really talked about your perception and your experience, kind of as a 22-year-old walking into your first classroom. What can you think back to what that was like, or any kind of students or memories that stick out real clearly to you from 2010?
I mean, I was intimidated. I was so intimidated. I was so excited and I was so intimidated. I like knew this is what I wanted to do and I was so excited to like get started on it.
Yeah.
Uh, I was so intimidated.
By what? Like, what was just the kids?
All of it. Yes. To, appear smart enough or old enough or
Right.
to know what I was doing.
Right.
But you actually did a really good job of like making me feel so confident. I remember you saying, because I was doing I had graduated, walked in my graduation, but I had to do my fall student teaching.
Yeah.
And I just remember you saying, like, gosh, she already graduated college. She's about to buy a house, like, just like laying it out there, like making me feel like I was capable,
Yeah.
especially in front of them. And you treated me as like a peer, not a student teacher. So you definitely like built my confidence that way. Um, Thinking about the kids, it's hard. I mean, I remember every single face, and when you say, I remember where you sat, that
Yeah.
resonates
Yeah.
so much as I'll always remember a face. It's a little bit more difficult because I was there for maybe 3 or 4 months. It
Right.
wasn't
Right.
the connections of being that classroom teacher for the whole year. But
Right.
I think I mostly remember a lot of the kids that intimidated me, the ones that weren't afraid to question me, the ones that were outspoken. The ones that were.
Yeah, I was looking back. I just got access to all the yearbooks. I went over to the high school last week and met with principal who is a former and now current Wave. His name is Jeff Webb. Great guy. And I wanted to get all the yearbooks I could so I could kind of remember who I should be reaching out to, like who might not know this is even happening or who might have had a
Yep.
good experience in the hot seat, but just doesn't know, social media or whatever. And I was looking at your class, and my goodness, there were some really really good kids in there. In fact, there's Pete Coulter and Kelly Lewis were in that class, right? So they were a couple then, they were a couple now. Their parents, they're just amazing people. But
They're together.
oh
They're
yeah,
very. Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do
Um,
specifically remember them as a couple and both just being so great. That is so cool to
they're
hear. I
just
didn't.
such amazing people. But the story with that gets better because when I was signing Kelly's yearbook that year, as I said, my daughter was just born. And I love signing yearbooks. It's one of my favorite things to do. I still do it for my fifth graders, right? And I just think it's an important thing to do for kids if they mean something to you. So I wrote to her and it just came to me, I hope that when my daughter grows up, she's just like you. So when I got to Tatum, I wanted to do some things that were distinctly like me and kind of the way I think and what I think is important. So I started an award called the Just Like You Award. And every year when I give it to somebody, I start by saying, this started with a student. This girl was so amazing, and I just thought the world of her. And then I had a daughter at the same time, so worlds were colliding. So the Just Like You Award started really in 2010 before I even knew I was going to be a principal. But there's a lot of great kids in that class, but I understand what you're saying. So, just to give you my experience, which a lot of people who are watching probably don't even know. So I was 21 at Pennsauken High. I had all juniors, all levels, and I mean, I didn't know what hair gel was yet. I was acne faced. I was skinny. I had not really experienced the gym yet. I talk about intimidated. Plus, Pennsauken can be rough. But I said this in the book, and I'll say it here again. When I was talking about that with Don Borden at a basketball game, I was just like, I don't know if I can do this, man. He's like, you'll do it like you've done everything else. That is like imprinted on my brain, and I did. I got through it. But then this opportunity opened up to go back home, and I knew as soon as I got my A that I had this job waiting for me. taking over for the person who meant the world to me as my mentor in his room. I mean, the whole thing was just crazy the way it worked out. But the pressure there was probably very similar to where you are now. Like you're a Gloucester kid and you're teaching Gloucester kids. I think there's a different level of pressure and expectation. You have to do well because you're one of them, right? Um, let me transition quickly though, because I don't remember talking about it. I'm sure we did. What was your first impression of the hot seat? What do you have anything that stands out about the activity, or did I put you? I'm sure I put you in the hot seat once or twice, or before the end there. Yeah, talk about like just as an adult, because not many adults got to experience it.
Yeah. I loved it. It felt like college. It felt like being in a college classroom and debating and analyzing and sharing thoughts and ideas. And I just really appreciated the way that you treated the seniors in the room, like the almost adults that they are, and the perspectives
Right.
that they. Um, I I loved your public speaking lessons. It was so fun on Fridays. Like you looked
Yeah.
forward to Fridays, and I continued doing that with my teaching too. And it was really
Good.
nice lesson plans on Fridays to just copy and paste. We're doing public speaking. We're doing hot seat. I took that to Collingswood and I ran with it every Friday. It was real
Yeah.
simple doing.
Yeah.
But experiencing it and teaching it, it's fun. You get to take a step away from just curriculum and what's in the text
Yep.
and just talk, but in a meaningful way. And I, even now teaching younger guys, like public speaking is such an important skill. And I think now more than ever, it's really scary for people.
You think
But
more now than
I,
ever? You think it's like worse now, Kara?
yeah, people to have conversations face to face or in front of people. I just think with technology, um, the students are in a world where most of their communication
Oh, that's
is
true. That's true.
text or social media,
Snapchat. Yeah. Right.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
face. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So are you doing some other like ancillary public speaking stuff with the hot seat? Like, I don't remember what I had in place when you were there, but it got progressively better and more creative than just the hot seat. So are you doing other stuff in class with public speaking?
So two things I'll say. I when I went to Collingswood, the curriculum was very much, we had the choice. It was novel based, which was great. And I just kind of took what you were doing and I was like, all right, this is what we're doing. I'm going to teach Othello. We're going to do the hot seat.
Yep.
Um, so then at Gloucester, I've been fighting my way through middle school, right? And the hot seat's got to look different from middle school. And
Sure.
thinking about that all summer. Two things I would say that ways I've incorporated it that look a little bit different is we do positive vibes to start every single class period. And that just allows us to talk about things before we get into any content. So there'll be certain, and positive vibes, it just means like, what did you do this weekend? How did your game go? What are you looking forward to? And it's a
Right.
way not to get to know the students, but their classmates are hearing it too. I'll share things, right? I'll share
Yep.
about, God, the crazy day I had yesterday, or what just happened to me this morning, or this really great thing that happened. And I always open that up with what I think is the hot seat's all about, like the vulnerability.
Yep.
I said, I used to be so negative and pessimistic, and that's just something I struggled with. And as I've gotten older, I've realized the value in seeing like the positive and the good. And I think that's a good message. So, I mean, not that it's the hot seat, but that's my tool.
Yeah.
Be able to connect
Yeah.
and relate to students and talk about things.
Yeah, I think the problem with traditional public speaking lessons, if you remember, right, like you're behind a podium, you're reading note cards, no one's listening, the teachers may be listening, but this changed the whole dynamic into a discussion, and it wouldn't work if we didn't open up too. Now, we have to be mindful of what we say and how far we can go with what we're saying, but I can't imagine what it must be like for a kid in high school to hear his or her teacher say, I mean, in the book I talk about when I was so heartbroken my first like year or two. I was so heartbroken and I didn't know how to navigate it. I was doing my best to keep my head above water teaching. I had so many different preps, but I would go home and I was just sad because of my college breakup. So I started talking about it. So then it's like, oh, so then my shoulders kind of slumped, right? Because I got it off my chest, and then I had a captive audience, whether they wanted to hear it or not. And then the questions themselves lend themselves to these conversations. But I think your point's well taken, Kerri. Like if you open up positive vibes on a Monday or Tuesday, right? What do you guys got? And maybe it's a pretty slow day, and you're like, okay, let's move on. And you say nothing, you've wasted an opportunity that English teachers in particular have. I'm not saying, there's great teachers at Audubon that kind of do this stuff without a hook like the hot seat. But if you're not willing to talk to your kids back and forth about life stuff, you're probably in the wrong spot as an English teacher, because we teach books, we teach plays and short stories and poems, and there's discussion to be had far more than just let's spit back what we just learned on a quiz or a test, which I think we both agree isn't the point at all.
Yep.
So, do you remember what hot seat question you got when you were in my room?
I don't remember. I mean, I know so many of them from teaching it, from doing it.
Right.
I vaguely remember, and I don't know if it was a discussion or if I said it in your room, but the one about like, what are you most afraid of?
Yeah.
And I've always liked that question because usually students give a much bigger answer than like spiders or height.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember my answer, and probably still, is like being alone, the idea of not being connected or losing people that you love, and like just what a great conversation that is that so many people can relate to. So that's definitely a question that stands out, is what are you most afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question for all of us. And if you say spiders in the dark, that's fine. But obviously, there's a bigger, answer to that. But you just kind of touch on something that was in my pre-show notes, and we can talk about this briefly so we can get to your question. But one of my favorite things is seeing your Instagram feed with the girls. I mean, your life is, and Zach, my God, you got it's all estrogen all the time in your house. So, guys, she's got four daughters, guys, and they're each one is as beautiful and amazing as the one that came before her sister. But what's motherhood like for you? Like, how has that changed or how's it actually? I guess my question, Kerri, is has motherhood changed, improved, or I don't know, evolved your teaching?
Absolutely, 100%.
Tell me how.
Different person now, being a mom of four, and every different step along the way. So, my students have all gotten different versions of me. My creating my family has coincided with my teaching career almost the entire time. So that's always part of it. I just had this conversation with someone that I definitely believe being a mother makes me a better teacher in every way. I'm always thinking about how would I want a teacher to talk to my daughter, or
what was she. That's a great point.
Now my older ones are getting closer to that middle school age, and I see so much of it. That's always a thought. And my girls are all very different, where one school was so easy and she loves to read, and one hates it and would rather be on the soccer field. And like, I get all the perspectives. Instead of my experience as a student, I'm like, I see all the different types of students at home. So yeah, I love it. I think it's made me such a better teacher, more confident. And you see them as like your kids.
Yep. Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, what you just said, I'm going to write down because I thought it was great. Your students have seen every version of you. I've never thought about teaching that way, but the longer you do this, the more life stuff happens to you. Your kids are going to get some brunt of it, whether it's the positive or negative. I remember talking to a kid in 2004. I know I talk about that class a lot, but I said, when I'm struggling personally, the best thing in my life is you guys. Like, I can really focus on work and I'm probably better when things aren't so good personally, because I just hyper focus on the kids and and especially with seniors, right? I just want them to succeed. I want them to get to college or the military or whatever it is I can do to help them. But I've never thought about the way you just said it, where it's like our kids experience these versions of us that typically are reserved for our spouses, right? Like our best friends or whomever. Say it again.
You spend so much time with them. You're with your students
more than your spouse, for the most part. Yeah. So that's. I'm not surprised to hear you say that. I know, like I said, when we met, I was a new dad. I haven't been ashamed or haven't been secretive about the fact that it took a long time for Abby to come to us. IVF and miscarriage, and it was a long journey. And then you got me a year almost to the day, because September 28th is your birthday. You got me a year after that, so I don't remember. I'm thankful that I was in some way helpful because that time in my life was was a blur, as you can relate to. It's a lot going on. All right, let's go to your question. So I've been selecting questions for the guest based on the guest, and like every senior in the seat, you can veto one for the next.
Mhm.
But I think this one is good, especially because we just talked about it. But if you don't like it, as always, tell me to step off. All right. Do you think that your girls will have a better life than you and Zach had?
See, now you're spinning the question because when you ask the students, it's right. It's are you
Correct.
life than your parents?
Correct. This is a Kerri specific question. Because
Yeah.
our number one goal, any parent will tell you, is to create a better life than the one that came before it. So with four of them, and with all the success you've had, with this amazing husband that you have and family that you have, um, I think it might be hard to top. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it's something that's constantly in the back of my mind.
Sure.
And similar to you, I don't know if you still do, but like I overthink everything. I'm constantly thinking about how what I do affects them or the impact that I'm going to have on them. Or it's hard to think about them being like adults or college or
It
older now.
is. Yeah.
Um, do I expect them to have a better life? I hope that they can figure out some of the things I felt like took me longer to figure
Nice.
out,
Yeah.
to not judge myself so much, put so much pressure on myself, those kinds of things, like the confidence thing. I hope
Yeah.
that they figure that out way
Yeah.
earlier than I did.
Well, I mean,
Um,
just saying it out loud, Kara, like that's a big step for that for them, right? Like you weren't thinking about that when you were their age, right? Because you're a kid. But
right.
now that you've been through all that, you can counsel, coach, support, whatever, or send to Zach when he needs to give, dad support, love, and care, whatever. But just the fact that you're aware that you had those struggles as a girl of their age makes them way ahead. I mean,
Yeah.
one is going to teach the other all the way down the line, and they're all learning it from you and Zach. So I think that's a really good point. And the overthinking thing, I mean, that again, I think is part of being an English teacher. We're trained. That's everything we read, see, listen to, digest. We're supposed to overthink, but our kids make it harder because everything they do, I mean, Abby's going to be a junior, right? So we're talking about colleges and Coleman's in seventh grade, and they're both. My kids are. This question's about you, but I'm going to talk about my kids. My kids are so amazing. I mean, I'm just so proud of them all the time for, everything from handling the divorce to like being their own kids to the way they treat each other and grown-ups. And they're just amazing. I'm just so fortunate. We use the word fortunate all the time for our kids. I don't know if I can say it's going to be a better life because, my parents and their mom's parents weren't divorced. So I don't know what that's going to be like for them, but we're trying. And I think that's all you can really do. Do you have a sense of like paths? I know it's early, but like for your oldest, does she have a path that she seems to be traveling?
I mean, to me, that's the most fun part of parenting ever is to like watch them becoming like who they are. And every
Yeah.
time someone's like, God, four girls, girl, I'm like, so different though. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have nothing to compare it to. I would have loved to have experienced having a son. Um, but they're so different.
Tell me how.
So
Like we like tell us how. Like walk through like a quick adjective for each one.
you're gonna let me just talk about my kids for the next 10 minutes? Um, no, so my oldest, I had her when I was 26. Like, I think I was at college with for like a year. She's so cool. She's about to start middle school. So in our district, she'll be entering a new building as a sixth grader.
Okay.
She is like school. She's obsessed with school. She, within the past 2 years, has become such an avid reader. And I'm like,
Love it. Love it.
it's the best. We go
It
to
is.
Barnes
Yeah.
books. That's what she wants. I took her to like her first play show in Philly for her
Oh,
birthday.
nice. Yeah.
I did drama. She does sports. She's on every different. She's just awesome. She's
Yep.
easy. She's good at everything. Very
Yep.
academic.
Yep.
So I see her. She's like more creative. She's either gonna like run behind the scenes, like a company. She's also very good at math,
Hmm.
but also very creative. I don't know. So I don't know the path that she'll take.
Yeah.
You know, talks about different things, but it's just so fun to watch. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, all the time I'm reading her stuff that she writes, and I'm like, I don't know how.
I know
She,
how. Her mom. I mean, come on. I mean, you got to give yourself some credit, obviously.
her and my husband kind of like geek out about the same things. Like she's really into like the fantasy kind of genre, which isn't really my thing.
Same.
Um, or just certain things. I'm like, that's your dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My second one is a true second child, middle child. Um, she, her favorite parts of school are gym and lunch. Um, she would rather stick pins in her eyeballs than read a book. But she's the kid that is not going to sit on her iPad or her screen. She's making something. The other day I walked in her room and she had a bath bomb that she was like shaving things off of, putting in a water bottle. Like, what are you doing?
That is so awesome. I love it.
She's so creative, but she's also my more sensitive child. She's the
Okay.
one that needs to be close to me, that needs the reassurance, that has shown some of like the anxiety things.
Hmm.
So she needs more. She's a phenomenal athlete as well.
Okay.
But they need me in different ways.
Yep. That's so
So
true.
she the emotional energy. My
Okay.
third one, probably typical third, where like she could go live in the woods for the summer and she's fine. She's very happy-go-lucky. Everybody loves Lucy.
Oh, that's so funny.
Really funny. She's independent. She's funny, and she's also very smart. Her brain works in crazy ways. Like she'll ask me questions, she thinks about things, and I'm like, where did you
Yeah.
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 And then now the 2-year-old, she's just full toddler right now and
Yeah.
scares me. Well, she's very bossy. I call her Queen Evelyn because we all just cater to her.
Oh my God. And don't, but you have three other mini moms to help with her.
Oh my God, yes. Yep. But she selects who she wants for that day. Like she loves the most or who she wants to go to.
That
Um,
is hilarious.
so time will tell what happens with her. But I totally relate to what you said though about like I hope that my daughter, is just like you. I see so much of that. They come with me to the take your child to work day and they
Yeah.
hear me talk to students and I'm
Yep.
like, Ella, she reminds me so much of you. Like she's doing the
Yep.
play this or like Avery, this girl, like she's so into makeup and like you're gonna love her. Like I constantly see the connections and that's just like a good reminder for me of what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think it's great for your personal children and your students to see you talk about each with the same amount of like love, right? So at some point your girls will be like, a lot of kids like my mom. She must be a really good teacher, and it'll really start to resonate with them the older they get, and vice versa. I think for kids, seeing a female teacher as a great mom, I think just sort of enhances their experience with you because I think they, like you mentioned earlier, they kind of married it to like if you're a good mom, you should probably be a good teacher, and vice versa. Not always the case, but certainly it helps. I think the same goes for dads and teachers. But you're right, the journey is the fun part. Like I don't know where they're going. I just love being part of the journey. And at this age, they're not here a lot when they're with me, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Like I don't really lament that because I think if I force them to hang out with me or whatever, especially with the split time, it would be weird. Like I want them with their friends. I want them to come home at dark, like when we were kids. And I even like the chauffeur service, Care. Like it's one of my favorite things. Like when I take my daughter and her friends around, there's a lot of conversations that happen in the car. They almost forget I'm there, or they don't care if I hear things. And there's a lot of conversations that juniors have that I would rather not be a part of. But I'm the driver, so I have to be. So I think that part for me, I'm trying to, and I think you'll understand this too because you have the gap of your four. I'm trying to appreciate the time that they're in, the phase that they're in as best as I can because it could be gone tomorrow and they could be on to the next thing and then I have to like adapt. And that's our job as parents, and it's our job as teachers, right? Like our kids come in, we have no idea. And in elementary school, it's completely different, Kara. Like I just interviewed all week, and one of the things I say to applicants is we can't ask kids to come in at 9 o'clock and do math if they haven't eaten for a day. Like they might have
Right.
just gotten their ass kicked right the night before, and all right, take out your math book. What are you? There's no way you can do that.
Mm-mm.
But because of I think my staff in particular, but people like you, they come in knowing, okay, this is safe. I can be myself here. I can shut down because I had a terrible night. And in middle school with all the hormones and all that stuff going on and all the social media, and you're going to make it safe. And when they're ready to come back around to read that poem or take that test, we'll do it. But it won't be because you force them to. And I think that's why I started the show by talking about, I'm just so glad you're still teaching because there's so many people that are leaving. I'm like, not you, and you're not. So I think Gloucester is super lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have you in my life as a friend. I would love to come over and do something or Zoom in and do a hot seat with your kids. I did it with Jess
Yeah.
over in the middle school in Collingswood. I mean, whatever you want to do and whatever we can do to keep, stay in each other's lives, I would prefer it that way. Anything you want to kind of close with or end with before I do my sign off?
Just, I think it's cool that our paths keep crossing. I don't know how many people can say that they've
Yep.
worked with Kevin, done the different things that we've done with their cooperating teacher from college. So I feel fortunate in that, and just fortunate that you like that word, right? Fortunate.
I love the word fortunate.
Fortunate that I landed where I did, and you opened my eyes to what teaching was actually about, because that's what I go back to when it gets challenging. So I appreciate that, and I hope we keep crossing paths.
Yeah, you're one of the good ones. I'm really proud of you. Again, just as I said to Pat last week, it's really emotional for me to watch former students with their kids. Like, because when I knew you, we were both so far away from, I mean, I wasn't, but so far away from what that phase of life was like. And now, Pat's got one on the way last week, and then you with your four girls. And it's just like, it's just it makes me so happy to see you guys as parents and also still doing the things that you love as professionals. So I was looking forward to this for a long time, Kerri. I'm glad you stopped on. I hope that your students and your colleagues hopped on or take a look at it later. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, Kerri, thanks.
All right, hot seaters, thanks for tuning in. Before you go, here's how to stay connected. Follow me on Instagram at Brian_Kulak. Check out more resources on my blog over at briankulak.net. Pick up a copy of The Hot Seat or my other book, Level Up Leadership, both available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And please, if you found value in today's conversation, leave us a rating and a review. It truly helps others discover these stories. Share this episode with someone in your life, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another conversation in The Hot Seat.